What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Patrick Mahomes can't play. Let's not anoint him after 2 weeks.
Stephen A. Smith has been throwing shade at Patrick Mahomes for a while, but now things just hit a boiling point. New footage of them going at it just dropped, and it's absolutely bonkers. I've got all the details on what Nally broke the camel's back. Let's break it down. The Super Bowl 59 meltdown that changed everything. Stephen A. Smith has found himself in yet another pickle with a high-pro superstar. A few months ago, it was him and LeBron going at it courtside during a Lakers game. Now, it's Patrick Mahomes. The tension began brewing back in February 2025 during Super Bowl week, when Smith dropped what many are calling his most outrageous take yet. To understand the full weight of that moment, we've got to look at what was building beneath the surface. The Kansas City Chiefs entered Super Bowl LIX with dreams of achieving something that had never been accomplished in NFL history, a historic three-peat. Patrick Mahomes, the golden boy of the NFL, stood on the precipice of cementing his legacy as potentially the greatest quarterback of all time, surpassing even Tom Brady's legendary status. The anticipation was palpable. Sports analysts, fans, and even Stephen A. Smith himself had been building up this moment for months. In fact, just days before the Super Bowl, Smith had been singing Mahomes' praises, suggesting that a Chiefs win would make Mahomes the GOAT, highlighting his consistency. Never losing a division title and playing in the AFC Championship game every year as a starter. The narrative was set. This was Mahomes' coronation moment. But Stephen A. Smith's relationship with Patrick Mahomes has always been complex, allied with dramatic swings between praise and criticism that have become legendary in sports media circles. To understand the full context of what's happening now, we need to look back at some of Smith's most memorable moments discussing the Kansas City quarterback. One of the most fascinating aspects of Smith's commentary on Mahomes has been his reluctance to jump on the bandwagon early in the quarterback's career. When we look back at the footage from Mahomes' breakout 2018 season, we can see Stephen A. displaying the kind of cautious skepticism that would become a hallmark of his Mahomes commentary.
Is everyone overreacting to Mahomes?
Not at all. Everyone is reacting exactly as they should to Mahomes, which is to be amazed. Oh my God, did you see that? Is the proper reaction to the way Mahomes has played.
But even as his colleague Max Kellerman was singing Mahomes' praises, Stephen A. remained the voice of caution, demanding to see more before anointing the young quarterback.
Oh, congratulations. I am so touched, Max Kellerman. I'm so touched. I mean, stop the damn presses. Newsflash, he was playing better than Alex Smith. I mean, I'm so touched. This is a beautiful thing. Mr. Pedestrian himself.
You're just salty. He smoked your Steelers
Y'all are wasting my time.
This skepticism would continue throughout Mahomes' early career, with Stephen A. consistently demanding that the quarterback prove himself against elite competition.
Can we see the brother go up against the defense before we sit up there and anoint him as the second coming of Dan Marino? Can we do that?
They are going to have tape on him. Defenses will adjust.
However, there were moments when even Stephen A. Smith couldn't deny what he was seeing from the young quarterback. After a particularly impressive performance against the Denver Broncos in 2018, Smith Nally began to show signs of coming around.
Now I'm ready.
Oh.
Showed up on Monday night.
Okay, late to the party.
In the Mile High City. Well, it's not about being late. It's about waiting for evidence. It's about not jumping to conclusion. I don't care what I see. It don't matter. Competition matters.
But even in his moments of praise, Stephen A. maintained his characteristic dramatic air and specific criteria for what impressed him about Mahomes.
I got to concede.
You thought to yourself, I gotta stop hating.
Well, I didn't feel like I was hating.
He never feels that way.
I didn't feel like I was hating. I never feel that way.
Well,
and I didn't feel like I was hating.
A great man once said, that's the definition of player hating.
Then came February 9th, 2025, at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, and everything changed in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. The Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts, didn't just beat the Kansas City Chiefs, they absolutely demolished them in a 40-22 blowout that left the football world stunned. This wasn't a close game that came down to the Now drive or a L goal in overtime. This was a complete and utter domination that exposed every weakness in the Chiefs' armor. Mahomes' performance was nothing short of a nightmare. The quarterback, who had been hailed as the second coming of Joe Montana, looked lost, confused, and completely overwhelmed by the Eagles' relentless defense. He completed only 21 of 32 passes for 257 yards, threw 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions, including a devastating pick six. But those numbers don't even begin to tell the full story of his struggles. The most damning statistic of all, Mahomes completed only 6 of 14 passes for 33 yards in the first half, a career low with 2 interceptions. 33 yards in a Super Bowl in the first half. Let that sink in for a moment. This is the same quarterback who had been throwing for 4,000+ yards per season and making making no-look passes that deed the laws of physics. The reaction to Mahomes' performance was swift and brutal. Sports analysts were calling it one of the worst Super Bowl performances by a quarterback in history, with some going as far as to say it destroys legacies. But the real earthquake didn't happen on the Eld. It happened the next morning on ESPN's First Take, when Stephen A. Smith delivered what can only be described as a verbal nuclear bomb that sent shockwaves throughout the entire sports world. On February 10th, 2025, Smith declared on First Take that the GOAT debate was officially over, implying Brady's superiority. But it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it, with the kind of passionate intensity that only Stephen A. Smith can deliver when he's truly read up about something. Smith criticized Mahomes' performance, noting 2 interceptions, including a pick 6, and described him as looking demoralized and hopeless. The image Smith painted was devastating, the supposed future GOAT reduced to a shell of himself, looking completely lost on the biggest stage in football. The magnitude of this moment cannot be overstated. This was the same Stephen A. Smith who had spent years carefully evaluating Mahomes, who had now begun to acknowledge his greatness, now completely reversing course and delivering one of the most scathing indictments of a superstar athlete's performance in recent memory. The sports world had never seen anything quite like it, and the reverberations from that February morning continued to shake the very foundations of how we discuss greatness in the NFL. A history of Stephen A. versus Mahomes. The truth is, Stephen A. Smith has consistently criticized Patrick Mahomes, focusing on his performance in Super Bowls, his behavior during games, and his standing in the NFL greatest of all time GOAT debate. This pattern of criticism has made Smith one of the few mainstream media personalities willing to consistently challenge the Mahomes narrative, even when it seemed like the entire sports world was ready to crown him as the next great NFL legend. But perhaps no single incident better exemplifies this contentious relationship than what happened on December 10th, 2023, during the Chiefs' heartbreaking 20-17 loss to the Bowl Bills. This game would become a defining moment in the Smith-Mahomes saga, showcasing both the quarterback's passionate competitiveness and Smith's willingness to call out behavior he deemed inappropriate. The controversy centered around a devastating onside call that negated what would have been a game-winning 49-yard touchdown. The play itself was a thing of beauty. Mahomes connected with Travis Kelce, who then lateraled the ball to Kadarius Toney for what appeared to be a miraculous victory. But the celebration was short-lived, as Oshels agged Toney for being offside, wiping out the touchdown and effectively ending the Chiefs' chances. Here's where the footage becomes absolutely crucial to understanding what happened next. The footage shows Mahomes in a state of fury that fans had rarely, if ever, seen before. He was visibly upset, slamming his helmet and yelling at Oshels, expressing frustration over the call, which he called terrible and the wildest call I've ever seen. But more than just the outburst itself, it was Mahomes' continued frustration that caught everyone's attention, including his heated exchange with Bills quarterback Josh Allen after the game. And we can see exactly how that controversial play unfolded in the game footage. The play was spectacular, the kind of improvised magic that had become Mahomes' trademark. But the ag completely changed everything, and Mahomes' reaction would provide Stephen A. Smith with all the ammunition he needed for one of his most memorable takedowns. Enter Stephen A. Smith, who wasted no time in delivering his assessment of Mahomes' behavior. On December 11, 2023, on ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith criticized Mahomes, stating he embarrassed himself with his post-game antics, including slamming his helmet and yelling at Oshels. But Smith didn't just criticize the outburst, he put it in context, arguing that the offside call was correct and highlighted the Chiefs' broader issues, such as 33 dropped passes that season, suggesting Mahomes' reaction was unwarranted. This wasn't just about one moment of frustration. Smith was painting a picture of a quarterback and a team that had deeper problems than they were willing to admit. The aftermath of this incident revealed something important about both men. Mahomes later apologized for his outburst, particularly for his interaction with Josh Allen, saying, "I regretted the way I acted toward Josh after the game because he had nothing to do with it. I was still hot and emotional. But you can't do that, man. It's not a great example for kids watching the game." His willingness to take responsibility showed maturity, but it also validated Smith's criticism about the inappropriateness of the original reaction. This incident perfectly encapsulates the pattern that has denned Smith's commentary on Mahomes. The ESPN analyst consistently holds the quarterback to the highest standards, refusing to give him a pass simply because of his talent or popularity. Smith has frequently pointed to Mahomes' struggles in Super Bowl games, particularly his interceptions and losses, as evidence that he has not yet reached the level of consistency required to be the GOAT. But Smith's criticism goes beyond just game performance. We can see this in some of his most passionate commentary about what he expects from elite quarterbacks. Take this classic Smith rant about standards in the NFL, where his dramatic delivery style is on full display.
Let me sit up here and call out this network here. I'm going to call out about my own network here, ESPN. I mean, there's a damn funeral going on. I mean, I'm sorry, did somebody die? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
That was just you crying 5 seconds
Excuse
ago.
me, I was acting, damn it. It was my general hospital.
This kind of passionate delivery is vintage Stephen A. Smith, and it's the same energy he brings to his Mahomes commentary. Whether he's praising or criticizing, Smith never does anything halfway, and his takes on Mahomes re-act this all-or-nothing approach. We can see this pattern even in Smith's interactions with his co-hosts, where his attention to detail and refusal to let inconsistencies slide becomes apparent.
First of all, if we're going to change the narrative, we took lessons from you, Max. That's number one. Number two, here's why we took those lessons from you. Yes, it is. No, not the narrative. Oh, no.
This same attention to detail and refusal to accept shifting narratives is exactly what Smith brings to his Mahomes analysis. He remembers every previous take, every previous performance, and he's not afraid to call out inconsistencies or what he perceives as excuses. The evolution of Smith's Mahomes commentary also reveals something fascinating about how sports narratives develop over time. By comparing Mahomes to Brady in Montana, Smith argues that Mahomes needs more championships to compete in the GOAT conversation, especially after recent losses. This isn't just casual criticism, it's a systematic deconstruction of the arguments that have been made for Mahomes' greatness. What makes Smith's approach so compelling is his willingness to highlight Mahomes' struggles in key games, such as throwing interceptions in Super Bowls, as evidence of vulnerabilities. While other analysts might gloss over these moments or chalk them up to bad luck, Smith sees them as fundamental character reveals that speak to a player's true legacy. The pattern becomes even clearer when we look at Smith's broader commentary style. He's someone who has criticized NFL players for their recreational marijuana use, which he opposes due to NFL policies, even though it's legal in some states. His "stay o' the weed" catchphrase has become legendary, showing that Smith isn't afraid to take unpopular positions when he believes they're right. This same uncompromising approach dens his Mahomes commentary, whether it's calling out behavioral issues, questioning legacy arguments, or demanding higher standards of performance. Smith has consistently refused to join the chorus of uncritical Mahomes praise that has dominated much of the sports media landscape. The result is a complex relationship that has produced some of the most memorable sports television moments of the past several years. Smith's Mahomes takes have become must-see TV precisely because you never know whether he's going to deliver devastating criticism or grudging praise. And either way, it's going to be delivered with the kind of passionate intensity that only Stephen A. Smith can provide. What many people don't realize about Stephen A. Smith's current viral feud with Patrick Mahomes is that it represents just the latest chapter in a decades-long history of explosive confrontations between the ESPN rebrand and some of the NFL's biggest stars. Smith's willingness to take on Mahomes isn't an anomaly. It's part of an established pattern that has seen him clash with everyone from running backs to wide receivers to quarterbacks, creating some of the most memorable and controversial moments in sports media history. Stephen A. Smith's epic battles with NFL stars. Stephen A. Smith has had several public clashes with NFL players, primarily through his outspoken criticisms on First Take and other platforms. These battles have established him as perhaps the most polarizing guru in sports commentary, someone who generates passionate reactions from both fans and players alike. His most frequent criticisms target players' recreational marijuana use, which he opposes due to NFL policies, even though it's legal in some states. Smith's signature phrase, "stay o' the weed," has become one of the most recognizable catchphrases in sports media, deployed against a lengthy list of NFL players who found themselves in Smith's crosshairs for drug-related violations. The list of players who have felt Smith's wrath over marijuana issues reads like a who's who of NFL talent. Stedman Bailey, Adrian Peterson, Josh Gordon, Joseph Randle, Randy Gregory, Alden Smith, LeGarrette Blount, Le'Veon Bell, and Martavis Bryant have all been subjects of Smith's passionate "stay o' the weed" rants. Each incident followed a similar pattern. A player would face suspension or legal issues related to marijuana, and Smith would deliver an airy monologue about personal responsibility and professional standards. But Smith's NFL feuds extend far beyond drug-related incidents. His relationship with Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson represents perhaps his most sustained and complex battle with an individual player, encompassing both performance criticism and commentary on serious OL'd allegations. Smith's clashes with Deshaun Watson are among his most prominent, covering both on-eld performance and OL'd controversies. In October 2024, following Watson's poor performance in a loss to the Washington Commanders, Smith delivered a scathing rant on First Take, calling Watson's play so awful that if somebody wanted to arrest him for being awful, I'd accept it. The Watson situation also highlighted Smith's willingness to tackle controversial subjects that other commentators might avoid. Smith has criticized the NFL's handling of Watson's suspensions related to allegations of sexual misconduct, stating that their approach resembled law enforcement without revealing what the hell they found. This wasn't just sports commentary, it was Smith wading into complex legal and ethical territory that demonstrated his willingness to address the most sensitive topics in professional sports. What makes Smith's approach particularly effective is his ability to combine performance criticism with broader character assessments. We can see this rhetorical style in action when he discusses players who don't meet his standards, as demonstrated in his passionate commentary style.
And when he's plays past Christmas, it's only for a week. Into the new year, he gets to celebrate New Year's Eve. And then after that, he goes home. He has never played in an NFC Championship game. He has never played in a Super Bowl. And you got people walking around here like this dude is the second coming. How the hell did that happen? What has he done? What has he done?
This kind of systematic deconstruction of a player's achievements, in this case, Tony Romo, shows how Smith builds his arguments against NFL players who he believes receive undeserved praise. It's the same methodology he's applied to Mahomes and countless other players throughout his career. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Smith's NFL feuds is when the players actually GK back. While most of his criticisms go unanswered, there have been notable instances where NFL players have publicly responded to Smith's commentary, creating viral moments that demonstrate the two-way nature of these modern media battles. The most notable instance of players pushing back occurred in 2020, when Jordan Lewis and Mark Ingram publicly mocked a viral video of Smith boxing. Jordan Lewis tweeted, "He talks too crazy to GH like this," while Mark Ingram commented, "He should be heated at whoever posted this." These responses were lighthearted but pointed, suggesting that players are very much aware of Smith's commentary and occasionally feel compelled to respond. The boxing video incident reveals something important about the dynamic between Smith and NFL players. While Smith's platform gives him enormous reach and influence, players have their own social media presence that allows them to push back when they feel his criticism goes too far. This creates a kind of ongoing dialogue between commentator and athlete that didn't exist in previous generations of sports media. Smith's feuds also demonstrate his remarkable consistency in applying his standards across different eras and different types of players. Whether he's criticizing a veteran quarterback for poor playoff performance or a young running back for marijuana use, Smith's core message remains the same. Professional athletes should be held to the highest standards both on and off the field. The international scope of Smith's influence has also amplified these feuds beyond their original American audience. His passionate delivery style and memorable catchphrases have made him a global sports media personality, meaning that his feuds with NFL players reach audiences around the world and contribute to broader conversations about athlete accountability and media responsibility. One of the most interesting aspects of Smith's NFL battles is how they've evolved with the changing media landscape. In earlier years, his criticisms might have been limited to television broadcasts and radio shows. Today, every contentious moment gets clipped, shared, and debated across multiple social media platforms, amplifying the impact of both his original commentary and any player responses. The pattern of Smith's feuds also reveals something important about his role in sports media. He's not just reporting on NFL players, he's actively shaping narratives around their careers and legacies. When Smith declares that a player is underperforming or failing to meet expectations, that assessment becomes part of the broader conversation around that athlete, influencing how fans, other media members, and even team executives evaluate their performance. Looking at the broader context of Smith's NFL feuds, it becomes clear that his current battle with Patrick Mahomes TS into a well-established pattern of holding elite players accountable to impossibly high standards. Whether it's questioning Tom Brady's early career playoff struggles, criticizing Adrian Peterson's legal troubles, or demanding that Deshaun Watson address OL allegations directly, Smith has consistently refused to give star players a pass simply because of their talent or popularity. The viral nature of Smith's current Mahomes commentary takes on new significance when viewed against this backdrop of previous feuds. This isn't just another hot take from a controversial commentator. It's the latest installment in a decades-long project of redeeming how we discuss athletic greatness and professional responsibility in the modern era. The lasting impact of Smith's NFL feuds extends far beyond the individual players involved. By consistently challenging the narratives around star athletes, Smith has changed the conversation about what it means to be great in professional sports. His willingness to criticize beloved players and question popular assumptions has forced fans, media members, and players themselves to engage with more nuanced discussions about performance, character, and legacy. As we look toward the future, Smith's pattern of feuds with NFL players suggests that his current battle with Mahomes is far from over. If history is any guide, this is just the beginning of what could be a years-long examination of Mahomes' career, with Smith serving as both critic and accountability partner in the quarterback's journey toward potential greatness. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.